I'm Terry Pascoe and welcome to After the 80. On today's show, we'll have a chat with Ipswich Jets halfback Dane Phillips about their win against the Dolphins. We'll also talk about the close game between Tigers and the Devils and Tweed Heads' third win on a row. Later in the show, we'll talk to Jacob Graham from the Cairns Post. He'll join us with some breaking news in regards to Todd Carney's exiting the Northern Pride. Also, Tweed Heads Daily News sports reporter Steve Vivian will discuss the recent form from the Tweed Seagulls. Joining me each week to talk all things Intrust Super Cup is Anthony Bomber Breeze. What did you think of the weekend?
I thought it was great. Got the TV game there. Tweed very good, which we'll talk about later. And the game me and you went over to watch, the Ipswich Jets, my team against your team, and I got a win up. So it was good. Yeah,
let's not talk about that much. So, well, I guess I've got no real choice because our special guest today on the panel is Ipswich Jets halfback Dane Phillips. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
No worries at all. If you'd like to join the discussion, you can find us on Facebook. Just go to Phoenix Media Hub, like our page and leave your comments below. Now let's have a look at the results from round 8 of the Intrust Super Cup. As you said, Tweed Heads in the TV game, got away with a big win against Mackay Cutters.
Yeah, well, I thought this was going to be a very close game, but obviously Tweed on form, they come in with 2 wins and a 52-24 thrashing.
That's right, and a lot of close games. We won't worry about the Redcliffe-Ipswich game, that's a nothing game. East unlucky with a Sam Tegatisi try getting Norths over the line. Pride winning at home, as well as Wynnum getting the monkey off their back as well, so they've got a win under their belt. Now the game that caught my eye over the weekend was the East versus Norths game. Sam Tegatisi scored in the final moments of the game to secure the win. Now this was a game, Bomber, that was between the two halves, Todd Murphy and Brodie Croft. What did you see?
Yeah, well, obviously Todd Murphy there, he's been playing some great football this year, and obviously he's in Wayne's thoughts now, being named in the 21 for the Broncos there. And obviously Brodie Croft there, he's taken his obviously axing from Melbourne back to the Intrust there, and he's producing still. So it was a very, very tight game.
Now, Dane, as a halfback yourself, what did you think of this game, of the performances of both your colleagues, I guess?
Look, they're both quality players at the end of the day. So, look, if a forward pack's going forward, these guys will get you in the game and most likely very close to winning the game. So, obviously, Todd Murphy gets one up there. And, look, if he gets an NRL call-up, good on him.
Do you think Brodie Croft might be just losing a little bit of confidence at the moment, being that, you know, he was named at the start of the year with Melbourne Storm and now Reece Jackson's got his spot? How can he get himself back into form?
Yeah, confidence is a big thing in rugby league, as they say. But look, the only thing that's going to get him back into form is himself and his team winning. So look, he's probably lacking a bit of confidence now and thinking he's on the outer. But a couple of good games for him, and I'm sure he's a long-term prospect for them. So mate, they're not going to just chuck him out the door. So. String a few good games together. Defence as a half's probably the biggest thing, because attack will always happen for him because he's pretty skillful. So, knuckling down at training and defending well, and maybe he'll be back there at some stage.
And look, like you said, Bomber, I know Todd Murphy's named on the extended bench for the Broncos, but I got no doubts that Andrew McCulloch won't play. Surely he's not fully fit. Todd will come in.
I think it's just a wily move. You know, them NRL coaches there, they like to throw through a few curveballs out there.
All right. Now, what was the game that caught your eye, Bomber?
It was a TV game. Like I mentioned earlier, Tweed Mackay there. Expecting a very close game between the two sides there. It was try for try up there, 6-6, but then they just blew them away. Wynnum just blew them away with their speed. Obviously, their forwards, Leilani Latu, he led the platform, which allowed their backs through Kane Elgee, who was back from the Titans, and Braden McGrady, who went over for a hat-trick of tries there, which now puts in the leading try scorer now in the Intrust with 10 tries. So
now you're telling me on Saturday after your game that you actually watched the first half of this game in the sheds. What was your take on Kane Elgee's performance?
Yeah, very good. Look, I think anyone coming back from NRL back has got a point to prove, and he's probably come back and done that. Tweed, look, they haven't been going that well for the last few years, but a bit of confidence. It's 3 in a row from now, and 50 points isn't a fluke. So they've got plenty of attack, and Kane Elgee was the spearhead of most of that.
Now, as much as we talk about Kane Elgee being, you know, the highlight of this game coming back from the Titans, AJ Brimson has got so much speed in the back there. He really shone in this game, I thought.
Yeah, well, I was talking to a few of the players from down there, and I think he got the player of the match down there, AJ Brimson. He just knows when to inject himself into the line there. Look, he's got great pace, and he just uses it all, knows when to bob up, and that's right. He just knows what to do.
As I mentioned, though, Dane, your game, you took on Redcliffe at home. Now, how did you pull up, first of all?
Yeah, not too bad. We've got a couple of people who are a bit sore, but, mate, you're never sore after a win anyway.
Now, Pio Secchi got you a triple on the weekend, so that was a nice little height. Now, that was a late change, wasn't it? He was supposed to play on the left side, and he got moved on the right. I wonder if you found his new position for him.
Yeah, it was a late change. Rory Humphries was out due to a little hamstring strain, so we moved Big Pio, or now known as 3-0, across to the right side. And look, he's been doing that for a few weeks and not just getting across the line. So it happened for him in the weekend, which is great. And a big bloke like that with some more confidence, he might be playing Origin in a few weeks.
Now look at that. That was the Redcliffe Dolphins doing the Ipswich Jets to the Ipswich Jets. Did that even catch you guys off guard?
No, we're very aware other teams doing this to us and pulling our pants down. So we, as soon as we know any kickoff or anything, it's a contest. For us, it's red alert time when we're doing them and against us. So we're glad that happened, and hopefully we turn all the contests, even if it's against us, into a Jets win.
I read in today's local paper there, the Walker boys have got your kicking game the same as Alfie Langer's kicking game. They got you right up there with friggin' Alfie, and we're about to see a bit of footage come up here. I don't think they're talking about this bomb that you put up as being in Alfie's league.
Short kicking game.
That was all right.
That one was all right there, obviously. High and only got the penalty shot, but this next one just coming up here. Here it is, Ed. Talk us through it.
It's called a shank, but at the end of the day, you can do the best kicks in the world and you don't score tries. So if it leads to a try, I'm claiming a try assist for it. So look, some of them, as long as you're competing, you can turn very poor kicks, which that was, into tries, but I'm glad we did.
I was going to say, did you buy Secchi some dinner that night, mate? Or
mate, he nearly stole a try from me. I could have got there if I was a bit quicker, but glad he got a try out of it.
Well, obviously, if Fiji decided to put a soccer team in, he'd
right
a
up
great
there,
team
surely.
there. He had great touch with the left and the right.
Now, no Michael Purcell, you lost him during the week to a broken arm.
Yep.
What happened?
He broke his arm against Sunny Coast, so he did it pretty late in the game and continued playing for a bit, but then come off. Look, he's a big loss for us, Michael, but Wes went back there in the weekend, and we've got plenty of Murrays in our team that are putting their hand up. He'll be a big loss, as I said, but we've got a pretty good squad there, and plenty of blokes wanting that position and wanting more game time.
Now, also another player that might be coming back to the Jets is Luke Capewell. What's the latest on there? I've read that obviously the Walker boys are opening the door to him to come back, but I guess coming from yourself? Yeah,
mate, love to have Luke back. It was a pretty different situation with what's happened to him. So, mate, I don't think he's, in my eyes, has done that much wrong and hurt the game that much that he shouldn't be allowed back. I think it's a misdemeanour in a thing that every club's doing. So, look, I'd welcome him back straight away.
Now, Luke was a special case. He wasn't just a, clear cut taking performance-enhancing drugs per se.
Yep.
It was just I guess maybe more of a slip-up that he didn't realise he was taking something that was on the ban list.
Yeah, so there's pre-workout drinks, which these days everyone takes before games. It used to be coffees and probably caffeine tablets, but now it's pre-workout drinks that are available in any stores. So Luke's had one of them drinks that has had a product in it that is masked for a steroid or something. And if you look at Luke's body, he clearly doesn't take steroids. So it's one of them things that got on the ban list less than 12 months ago. And you can't take it. You can take it midweek, but you can't take it on game day. So it's another one of them things which is just ridiculous, I think. And look, at the end of the day, everyone's taking something. They don't know whether it's mixed with it or not. So it's a grey area, I'd say at least. And we'd welcome him back straight away.
All right, the footage you saw was courtesy of the QRL media. If you'd like to see all the highlights from round 8 of the Intrust Super Cup, please head to qrl.com.au. Now let's have a look at the competition ladder after round 8. Now, you guys haven't actually moved. You beat Redcliffe, but you're still sitting there on 6. Burleigh obviously clear on top with North Devils. Bit of a congested ladder there, Bomber. What do you think?
Yeah, well, like you said, we've got 4 teams on 10. You see the Jets in 6th there. Well, basically they're in 3rd position as well there. Obviously it's for and against points there, but Burleigh flying high up there. So.
And look, the reality is 14-team squad, and Tweed Heads, who are still on the bottom of the ladder, are realistically only 1 or 2 wins away from the top 8. So, you could just see, I tell a lie, it's actually Mackay Cutters on the bottom. But, again, they're still only 2 wins away. The same as PNG Hunters, who are premiers. So it's a close competition. That's what we like to see.
Oh, well, like we said there, you're on the second page. You never want to be on the second graphic there, but 6 points there, a win puts you back up onto the top page very easily. So you've only got to string 2 or 3 together, and then you're right back up there. So.
All right, some breaking news from the Northern Pride. It's been reported that Todd Carney has left the club effective immediately, going back to family in Sydney. Joining us live from the Cairns Post headquarters, Jacob Grams. What's going on, mate?
G'day, guys. It's all happening up here, isn't it?
So, when did this story break? Was it only just late yesterday?
Yeah, it was very late yesterday. This broke. Todd actually turned up to training, and I was there doing some media with the boys, and they all gathered around in a circle. And Todd broke the news to them that he was going to be moving back to Sydney for family reasons. He's got some sick family down there. I think he just wants to move to be close to them. He told us that it wasn't anything to do with his NRL status, but wouldn't really elaborate any more on that. Hopefully he does in time. But yeah, it's a really interesting time. I think the boys were disappointed, but they've learnt so much from him, and they'll be better off for the 1/3 of the season that he spent here.
Now he transitioned back into fullback on the weekend. Is he going to leave a huge hole in the Northern Pride's attack?
I don't think so. In terms of a huge hole, I mean, he did play fullback on the weekend. It seemed to be on a whim from Ty Williams, and it worked out. But they were missing Gideon Geller-Mosby at fullback through suspension, but they also have Jack Murphy, who he came off the bench and played fullback. He's the normal fullback. So, it seems like a weird move. I mean, it does now, I guess. Hindsight is a beautiful thing. Maybe he would have played there longer term if he'd stayed around. But, I think it was just a one-off thing. And then there's a few people who can come in and replace him. But I think, like you were saying before, a lot of the attack is built around Jake Clifford. So I don't think it's really going to impact them too much. And we never really saw the best of Todd Carney. I think there was one game where he played against East that he played pretty well, but he never really blew anyone off the park. So I guess it's a bit sad in a way we never got to see his best up here.
Now, has there been any word from Ty Williams yet of, comments from him about what's been happening there?
Yeah, he told us that he understood the decision. It's all about his family, and he respected that. He still believes he can get into the NRL, but yeah, I think at the moment he's just going to go home and try to look after his mum and sisters a little bit. But I've also heard there's some clubs in Sydney that are already circling and want his signature. So it's going to be interesting to see where he ends up. The Pride, I think they'll be okay. They've learnt a lot from him, as I said, and they've got enough backups. They've got a really good halfback in the under-20s, Jack Campagnolo. He could easily step up. They've got guys like Jordan Biondiotto, who's pretty experienced in the Intrust Super Cup and looks like he's gone to another level just from learning from Todd Carney. Yeah,
definitely. I'm sure he brought in a lot of experience. Look, I know there would be plenty of NRL clubs circling. I'm as a Manly fan, I hope Trent Barrett actually flew up there and grabbed him by the ears so we can get him on our side. But look, thank you very much, Jacob. If you want to keep up to date with what's going on, just head up to the Cairns Post website. I'm sure Jacob will have all the latest news for you.
Will do.
Now, before we speak to Steve Vivian from the Tweed Heads Daily News, the Queensland Rugby League has this week been rocked with the passing of Terry Mackenroth and Mike Higgison. Terry Mackenroth had been an independent director on the QRL board since 2006, and it wasn't until late last year that he retired, whilst Mike Higgison was also a Brisbane and Queensland Rugby League historian. From all of us here at After the Addy, we would like to send our deepest sympathies to both families, and our thoughts are with you during this devastating time. Now, we'll head off to our player profile.
Marmin Barba, Ipswich Jets. In Mackay, North Devils, for about 15 years. Just playing with the cousins and family, and a lot of good mates, and having my 2 kids. Be the best thing, yeah. I did look up to Andrew Johns when I was younger, but now I'd like to look up to my brother. Even just playing in the backyard footy when we were younger, he'd always, don't do that, don't do this. So, yeah, I've praised him a lot for where I am today. Just a crazy feeling, just the day leading up to it, just full of butterflies, and just running out that day was just, it was emotional. Just being in the first Q Cup Grand Final and winning it as well, was just, the feeling was unexplainable.
Marmin Barba there. Geez, he must be an exciting player to play with, Dane.
Very much so. I had the pleasure of playing with Marmin and winning a grand final with him, and mate, when he's on in that kind of form, mate, he's unstoppable, and he's probably very unlucky that he hasn't played NRL yet, because he's a very talented kid. Now, let's head to the Tweed Heads Daily News headquarters with Steve Vivian. Tweed Heads, Steve, it must be on a bit of a high, 3rd win in a row.
That's right, 3 on the trot. 0-5 seems like a world away, and it's almost a bit of unfamiliar territory down at Pigabeen at the moment. Everyone's very up and about and very excited to head into the bye, and then Ipswich in round 10. Now,
this is Ben Wolf's first Intrust Super Cup side. He had coached under 20s before, and geez, he was in for a shock of a season, but geez, he must put something in the water down there.
Well, that's right. If Tweed lost to win a Manly 3 weeks ago, it would have been 0-6 and probably all she wrote. So that was pivotal. He got them over the line just in one of those games you just have to win in that situation. Then they came up East Tigers at home, and that was a real confidence day. East are a good side, and Tweed really respect them. And then they consolidated at Mackay last week, and things are looking good. They're playing a lot better. It's not just an aberration. It actually they've turned it around there.
Now, all eyes are on, obviously, Kane LG, and if he would return. Now, Garth Brennan's only put him on the bench, and the extended bench of the Gold Coast Titans. Now, Tweed Heads Seagulls have got this weekend off with a bye, but do you see him playing in a couple of weeks for the Tweed Heads?
Well, if Kane stays with Tweed for another few games and through this middle stretch of the season, I think that would be very fortuitous. He was a real difference maker against Mackay last week. But if he gets promoted back up to the Titans, I think Tweed will be an emergence of a few plays in the last few weeks. They've been really proactive in changing the team around and seeing what works with a young and inexperienced side. I think Braden McGrady, he's scored 7 tries in the last 3 games, playing at 5'8", and Linton McGrady at inside centre has been fantastic. The move AJ Brimson to fullback, he scored 3 tries, a try a game during the winning streak, and he's been an absolute revelation. So, I think they'll be able to ride it out if Kane gets elevated, but we'll see.
Well, look, tell us a little bit more about AJ Brimson. He seems to be such a revelation. He's got so much speed. We saw it on the Channel 9 game of how much speed he has. But I guess you've probably seen more of him than what we have.
He's been an absolute bolter. I think people have seen have seen how quick he is and what he can do. I think a massive rap for him too is what Shane Whitelaw told me last week, the Seagulls captain. We ran a feature on the game in our Saturday paper in the Tweed Daily News, and Shane just said he's been amazing with his work ethic and working on his skills playing fullback, and he's really changed the makeup of the side. And I think that's sort of a testament to Ben Wolfe and the coaching staff's sort of willingness, creativity to throw the team around and see what works and be creative.
Now they'll take on the high-flying Ipswich Jets in 2 weeks' time. Now they'll probably have a few players back from injury, you think?
Yeah, I think so, and that's been a real storyline of the season for Tweed, getting players back, and they'll need them back for Ipswich because that's going to be a really good test for Tweed. They've played a few lesser teams that they beat East, and then it'll be a good yardstick. Ipswich are 6th. That's where the Tweed want to get to into the top 6. So it's about time now for Tweed to measure themselves up to a better side and see if they can withstand it, if not to the drawing board and work on it. But in the last 3 weeks, Tweed had scored 102 points. In the first 5, they only scored 46. So injuries or not, I think that they're getting better, and Ipswich are going to have a job on their hands.
All right, Steve. Thank you very much for your time. I better let you go. That's Steve Vivian there from the Tweed Heads Daily joining us this week. Now, let's have a look at this weekend's Intrust Super games. Obviously, you got the week off, Dane, so just relax, put your feet up.
Glad to have the week off and rest and recovering for a big one in Tweed in the coming week.
Now, Bomber, what's the game that's caught your eye?
The second one down there, the Blackhawks and the Burleigh. Both these teams are in form. Burleigh on top of the ladder, and the Blackhawks a big win last week there. So I think that's going to be the game of the round. And Mackay 2 weeks in a row on TV. Yeah, well,
I don't know if this one's going to be much for the viewing. I mean, if Mackay keep playing the way they do when they go up against an in-form Norths Devils, I mean, Norths may not have Todd Murphy in their side, but Jesus, it might be a bit one-sided. But my game, South Logan and East Tigers. It's a bit of a nice Brisbane local one. What about you, Dane?
Yeah, I like South and East, 2 former clubs of mine, so a bit of rivalry there with the Silver Spoons and really people with no money at South, but mate, they're there for the right reason and always a good clash.
All right, well, thank you very much for joining us this week. Thank you, Dane, for coming into the studio. As well as you, Bomber, thank you very much for your insights.
No, it's always good to be here. Love talking about rugby league and love letting everyone know the scores, the results, and introducing some great players from around the Intrust.
And also thank you to Jacob Grams for bringing us all the latest news in regards to Todd Carney, and as well as Steve Vivian there from the Tweed Heads Daily News. And more importantly, thank you for joining us here on After the 80. For more updates, make sure you like our Facebook page and leave all your lovely comments below. We'll see you next week.